Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today? I am Seven, and we've got with us, we've got Sensei Vegan, and we've got Michael. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good.
I'm good. I'm gonna see if I can go join the JLA.
That's right, folks. We are live. You are watching ECLECTICKA. You know what? We've been waiting all year for this, folks. That's right. Long time waiting for the Justice League. Now, Sensei Vegan, you saw the Justice League.
Saw it twice.
And Michael, you have not.
I have not.
What's going on, sir?
You're slacking, bro.
What are you doing?
Slacking.
You're slacking?
I'm not watching Justice League. That's kind of what my schedule's like right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
But like, what happened in it? Like, how do you guys like it?
All right, so if you want to go first and want me to come flying in over the top, or...
Yeah. You could go first with it.
All right. I want to go with the good, then the not so good. I don't want to say bad. I want to go with the good and not so good. So the good, I thought overall it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? I thought, honestly, I don't like calling them subpar characters, but I thought, like, one of my favorites was, I thought they did a really good job on Cyborg. I thought Cyborg was going to be a character that kind of slid toward the back.
Okay.
Cyborg probably had one of the almost completed stories for not having his own solo movie. I thought they did well with Cyborg. I liked how when he came in, he didn't know his powers. You know what I mean? He was kind of scared. It wasn't like he came in and he was just totally dominating everything.
Right.
I like what they did with Flash, how new he was. He was a little bit clumsy, you know, trying to get used to the powers. You could see the struggle he was having with him and his father, that whole type of thing of, you know, letting go. So they built his character pretty good. Aquaman. I thought Aquaman did his thing. And then Wonder Woman's always pretty solid. And then Batman. Now, I thought, again, some of the CGI was like kind of dodgy on certain things. I think right now, you know, with these superhero movies, you're going to have CGI in it. But it's getting to the point where some of it's like, okay, guys, it's just like you have a person pasted on a screen. Sometimes it looks like the people don't even belong in the shot. You understand? So they gotta fix up that CGI. I think sometimes they CGI just way too much. You gotta start using some more real sets or real locations instead of just popping everyone down in front of the green screen, because that just gets a little bit.
No, I agree with you. Because look at the Aquaman scenes, or the Atlantis scenes, they kind of rushed through that.
Yeah.
As far as the special effects are concerned.
Because when you're thinking of Atlantis, you want to see the city, and what you saw was just like a dark, like dungeon.
Right.
Where, you know what I mean? Where they were keeping the cube. So it was like, yeah, if you're going to show Atlantis for the first time, you want to show, like, as you're swimming up on it, man, this beautiful city. Everyone thinks of Atlantis as being beautiful, right?
Right.
But you see this thing that looks like a prison cell.
Yeah, not much of a set. And then when you look at the effects that they use for Flash, you could see they spent time and money on Flash.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said, Wonder Woman was pretty solid. Again, some of these, you could see where they kind of start doing, I think, where the reshoots and everything came in, because some of the stuff was like cut and paste. Okay, we got to fill this gap. We got to fill that gap. And I think one of the biggest gaps for me out of the whole movie was when they were showing, I like what they did with the Amazons, how that whole thing took off. That was pretty cool. And then when they went into the backstory of how when Steppenwolf came about the first time, how they all came together, you know, you had the Amazons, you had the Atlanteans, and you had the Lanterns come in.
So basically we were watching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's what it was. Seriously. As my wife said, some parts look like the Wizard of Oz. But that's it. But it was crazy because I'm thinking, all right, at that time, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to have Green Lantern come in. Now, this is the part that didn't make sense in the writing. If this was such a big ordeal the first time, we had to bring everyone together, including the Lanterns, how come Green Lanterns weren't there? How come the Lanterns weren't there?
And they showed them in the backstory.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what
You
I
know,
said. So it didn't make any
so
sense.
what happened? I'm
Yeah.
waiting, you know, at the end, I'm like, wait a minute. Weren't we supposed to see the lanterns?
Green Lantern should have been there. Now, if they were going
Right.
to go with, I don't know which one. Me personally, I would go with John Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would go with. But he should have been in the flick. He should have been in the
Right.
And that was like a really big ordeal for me on that. I thought how they brought Superman back. I mean, there's really, what else could you really do? I thought that was, he shouldn't have been dead in the first place. I mean, let's just be honest. That whole, we already went down that road with, the Doomsday and all that stuff. That should have been two separate movies. If they shouldn't even have Doomsday in the movie, to be honest with you. It should have been this Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Let that whole thing go down.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
If they...
So, overall, I thought it was good. Now, let me get into, like, another gripe that I had. Batman, to me, I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I do. I think he's doing his thing. He's like the Frank Miller Batman. You know what I mean? The chunky, solid. He does it well. You can you have the distinction between Bruce Wayne and Batman. But in this one, number one, what happened to the Bat gadgets? He used his grappling hook most of the time.
Right.
The battle rings. What happened to the taser? Brass knuckles. When he's getting down in the trenches, whacking dudes in the head and stuff. It was like he didn't use anything really besides
No, he didn't.
the grappling hook. And I'm like, wait a second, that's what Batman's all about. He has all his little, his little toys and things like that.
And he only used the batarang, like the little star, only for the Flash. Yeah.
Yeah, for Flash. I think he threw one little bomb, at one of the
bug, those little bug things. Yeah.
Yeah, the little insect bug.
Oh, but they made sure they took time to show the bat sunglasses because kids, that's coming out this summer, or this Christmas for a toy. It's like a toy moment.
So true, man.
In fact, that whole machine
for the darn toys.
Yeah, it's strictly like, okay, let's have this clunky looking machine so we could sell this as a toy.
Yeah, that's all.
Because it didn't even need to be in there.
It didn't. The
It
thing
didn't
is with
fit.
that machine, they call it the Nightcrawler.
Right.
With the back, it was so clunky. It was like it didn't even fit.
No.
It didn't even fit into the scene. It kind of like, wait a second, you got this old clunky, like you rolled a bulldozer up in there or something, man. It just like totally didn't fit. So it's just like they were just throwing things in there. I think that's when you can see where it was like the executive said, okay, we need to have this.
Remember this scene where Aquaman was sitting on the lasso of truth?
Yeah.
That looked like they added that, and there was a scene where they're walking out. I think they're walking out of something. It was very obvious that Wonder Woman's hair tint was a different color. You could tell that they tried to match other shots.
Probably part of the reshoots. They try to make a lot of humor. But I thought even with Batman's attitude, if you look at Batman, anything about Batman is stern, to the point, doesn't take crap off anybody. And to get Batman to apologize to anybody,
right?
You might as well just take and shoot him because he's not, what I mean? and he's apologizing in the movie. I'm like, wait a second. One second you're like standing your ground. Then the next minute you're like, I'm sorry. No, don't be sorry. You're, be Batman.
And that was the problem with the first one, Batman versus Superman. Oh, because our mothers have the same last name. Him and Superman. All of a sudden now I care. Now he's cool.
Yeah,
also, man. He cared too much. It should have been more strategic. We need Superman because we need to win. Not, oh, he's a great guy and people need him.
Yeah.
Like Batman, or should I say Bruce Wayne, right? In that character, Bruce Wayne should have been really like, you know what? He's still an alien. He seems like a good guy, but let's make things happen.
Cut to the chase, yeah.
Cut to the chase. He shouldn't have been all emotional about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that made no sense. Again, that's when you have too many writers. Stick to who Batman is. I just was like, well, come on, guys. We don't need a soap opera here. Let's just stick to his attitude. Another thing, Batman doesn't use guns. What was he doing using a gun? You saw him using the gun? I'm like,
Right.
wait a second. He doesn't use guns. So I'm just like, where are you guys? This is where I was like, oh my goodness, man. You guys got to get yourselves together, man. Fill in the gaps. If you need us to come in and write for you, we're coming in and write.
What'd you think of the villain in this one?
You know what was funny was, I mean, of course, you know, you got this big CGI monster. They're going to do everything in CGI. But overall, I didn't think Steppenwolf was bad because if you look at Steppenwolf, he's not one of the mainstream Batman characters. You know what I mean? So to actually bring him into the JLA, they actually made him, I think, better than he normally is even in a cartoon. To me, because he's like a B character as far as I'm concerned, a B villain. I was thinking they were going to go up against, before they start doing all the previews and stuff, that they were just going to go and have Darkseid come. But, you know, Darkseid always sends his little minions first before he comes in and has to clean house.
And they mentioned Darkseid.
Yeah.
Randomly in the film, too. So that was interesting.
He's coming.
So he's
Darkseid
coming.
is definitely coming.
So how
Do you
does
think
that...
he'll be in the next one?
He has to be in the next one.
So maybe that's the excuse to make it, maybe because they didn't want to, excuse the term, but shoot his whole load in the first film where we got everybody. So now, if he comes, now let's introduce Green Lantern.
Exactly. That's what I think they're going to do. I mean, usually I'm going off of just like the anime. Darkseid will send somebody to try to do whatever they try to do, and then Darkseid will come in and then clean house, or try to clean house until Superman starts lumping up on him. But it's again, it's like I see what they were trying to do. They had to play catch up, but you have to. I mean, your main character, one of your main focal points, Batman. You definitely have to establish who he is, what he stands for, instead of just, you know, back and forth, up and down. Why did he have his mask off half the movie? I don't know. I'm just like,
so
dude,
cavalier about his secret identity.
Yeah, he's just walking around. He might as well not even just wear the cape. If you're just going to do that, he had his mask off like half the movie.
And he never said to anybody, like, don't you tell nobody about my...
Right. He's just, even with Barry Allen, I thought it'd been cool, instead of having Bruce Wayne, have Batman show up. You know, it's just like that. Later on down the road, when you gain their trust, hey, maybe let them know who the heck you are. But in the beginning, come as Batman. You don't have to. And they always do that in the movies. You know, they did it with Spider-Man. Spider-Man showing everybody who he is. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do that. Let Batman be Batman.
Well, they started out with that, like with Batman versus Superman. Oh, Lois Lane knows who Clark and Superman. Like they just totally. We're not even gonna go there with them. They know, which I could see, because if she's sleeping with this dude, how does she not know between Clark Kent and Superman?
Yeah, that's just crazy. Maybe they keep the lights off. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's just crazy. They definitely need to keep the mask on his face. I don't understand why it's such a big ordeal now where you have to take and show everyone's identity.
Right.
I just think that's kind of crazy.
So before we switch gears, one more thing. What do you think of the fight scene between Superman and the Justice League?
I mean, that's how it probably would have went down. You know what I mean? They're not really going to do much. But again, man, Batman, what happened? Dude, he just went up against the baddest dude and was tearing him up. So he's not going to come prepared this time if Superman decides to go rogue? That's not how Batman thinks.
Right. He always has
He gets pushed, and he even with Wonder Woman, she pushes him one time, and he's all messed up. So I'm like, what happened to? I remember, they had so many different anime series. When Batman and Superman met the first time in one of the anime series, and they come face to face, and Superman's right in his face, and he goes to put his hands on Batman, and Batman flips him over into the wall. I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? What happened to that whole, you know, who would win, Batman, Superman, that whole type of thing? It was like his whole guard, his whole defense was down during that whole ordeal. Not saying that everyone knows Superman's power, but at the same time, everybody knows Batman is the most feared in the DC universe, even though he has no powers. because he knows how to neutralize everybody. Everybody. So that whole thing was kind of wacky right there. Like Batman put up absolutely no struggle, and then who had to come save the day? Lois Lane,
Really?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on,
And by the way, his teeth were so perfect for a dead dude.
What's that?
I said Superman's teeth were so perfect.
Oh, he had some crest or something in that.
I mean, it was like, come on, man. You were dead for how long? Come on.
Yeah, that was
a little too much.
Oh, what about this line? Oh, you smell good. What? Okay, whatever, man.
Like what? Yeah, okay. I did have a problem also with Wonder Woman's scene early on in the beginning when she was, now I know that she's able to bounce off bullets from her wrists or cuffs.
Right.
But she would have to be as fast as Barry Allen to do that.
She would have to be super fast. I thought about that too. I was like, it looked cool, don't get me wrong. But
she's not supposed to be able to do that. Not with a machine gun.
No, she's not or even at that range. I mean, the guy was close.
Right, yeah,
she
so
would
that
have to be as fast as the Flash, and she's not that fast.
Now I get it. You want to make sure you have a very strong female character, but keep everybody in their lane. Like Barry Allen's the fastest one. Wonder Woman was very strong, and you saw when she was fighting Superman that she was not as strong, but she was holding her own. That was cool. But also they tried to make her like jump.
OP.
Say it again?
I thought they were going to OP her, overpower her.
Oh, okay.
In that fight when they were fighting, I was like, okay, she can't go toe to toe with him. Because in the cartoon, a lot of times, if you look at her, she's just as strong as Superman in some cases when they're fighting in the cartoon.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They added a lot of that because I mean, back in the day, at least how she was represented, she would fight and she would win because she'd be stronger and better and more skilled. But not to this like, pew, I'm just throwing you across the room. Like I think the last decade, they just juiced up her powers,
Oh, they did.
All of a sudden she could fly. Like, she didn't fly through most of this, but in the beginning, they did have this flying kind of jumping thing going on.
Yeah.
That was kind of extra.
I'm like, is she flying or is she jumping? Because even when they showed her in the first thing, she's standing on that statue. I'm like, how'd she get up there?
Right.
And then when she took the bomb, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, when she took that bomb and she jumped up, I thought she was flying, but then you see her hit the ground, and then she throws it out. But, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to establish what she's going to do. You know they're going to have her fly.
They got to give her some kind of limits. So just like Superman. The problem with a lot of people don't like Superman is because they just try to make him limitless, and that's kind of boring.
Right.
And the only two of all these characters that should just be able to pop up on people, it's Batman, because he's a ninja.
Yep.
And Barry Allen. The Flash. That's it. Wonder Woman shouldn't be like, oh, I appeared. Oh, I went through a crack in the ceiling. Stop it.
Right. No, it's true. It's so true,
Stop
man.
it. Now,
good.
Anything else on this?
Go ahead. Huh?
Anything else on the...
I just think as a whole, DC needs to definitely make better, get this phone out of here, just better use of their movies, and they need to get their writing together. Like I thought Aquaman, I like what they did with Aquaman, I really did. I thought he was cool, but the story was just like, they just slammed him in there. You know what I mean? You could see where they tried to just squeeze everything and give you, and it was a little bit confusing because you really was like, wait a second, okay, all of a sudden, you're helping people, because they're hungry, you're bringing them fish and things like that. All of a sudden, you're taking your shirt off and you're diving back in the water. Where are you going? Is Atlantis really that close? It's like, so all of a sudden he's back in Atlantis in a dungeon. So it was like they were just trying to squeeze so much. It was like, if you're, we said before with the Batman versus Superman, how they took and they showed, like toward the end, okay, they showed a quick clip of Cyborg, Aquaman, blah, 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 this and that. Did you really have to do that? Why not, when Batman's down by the docks, why couldn't he run into Aquaman down by the docks? You know what I mean?
True.
You're down by the docks all the time, have him come and investigate. It's just like, make better use of what you're going to do.
There was another problem. There's another
What's that?
problem. I don't know if you picked it up. Why did, first of all, Aquaman jumping into the freezing water in the winter, correct?
Right.
That was winter, right?
It was dead. Yeah.
Okay. So why every chance in this movie he has like this fur coat thing? Wouldn't he be too hot for him?
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. He had his mink coat on or whatever.
I mean,
Mink
it looked
beaver.
cool, but I mean,
Yeah.
whoever the costume designer, whatever, it looked good, but it made no sense.
It made no sense.
He should have walked around with a T-shirt. In fact, he should be like, "Yo, it's too hot in here."
Yeah. No, that makes entirely sense. Yeah, he didn't need all that stuff on.
By the way, I'm going to show a shot of the CGI. I believe this is right when they were fighting Superman.
Yeah, see, that's the part that I'm talking about. Is
All
when,
CGI.
Yeah, you can tell because there were scenes where it didn't even look like they were fitting in the screen. It was just like, okay, let's just cut and paste. You understand what I mean, right?
Right,
it was
right.
like just cut and paste, and I'm like, you got to make sure your colors are right and the feel, whatever you got, the whole process that you're doing, the lighting, because you know how it is shooting on green screen. If your lighting's off,
Right.
you can definitely see like, all right, man, this is not going to match. It doesn't match up.
No.
And I always go with this movie, and I use this as a blueprint. If anyone has seen, and I don't know why they never did a sequel, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, District 9. District 9's special effects in that effing movie, because you're looking at that movie, I was like, wait a second. You couldn't even tell that they were using CGI in that movie, most of the darn movie. That thing, the effects in that movie were freaking insane. So if they can do that all those years ago, how come they can't continue to do that, especially with a big budget movie like this? Right? Makes no sense.
Well,
Yeah.
timetable also might have an effect on that, maybe, because there was less pressure for District 9 versus like movies like Justice League and
could be a point.
Batman v Superman and all that, you know.
Yeah, dude. It's just it's just crazy how, and that's with a lot of them. Marvel did that too, in Thor. Some of the shots, I was like, wait a second, it was like I just shot these things in my apartment. Some of the shots, so you think that they would take more time and put it together, especially with so much riding on JLA. I think it made $96 million. Wow. So, I mean, it wasn't the best out of some of the movies, but it wasn't...
Wait a minute, Wonder Woman made more? Dang.
You know what, though? I think it actually made more than Wonder Woman, but remember, I don't think Wonder Woman was as hyped up as JLA either. Now, don't quote me on it, but I think Wonder Woman made less, actually.
Oh, wow,
But
because I
it
thought she made
still made
$100 million the first weekend.
Yeah.
Well, the weekend's not over yet, so...
It's not over yet. So
Right.
it was at 96 million. So it broke over 100 million. It'll break over 100 million. But I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at either. I mean, so.
Well, these guys look really happy. I use a picture of the cast at different releases and stuff, and
And the whole teamwork aspect came across in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're better together than being separate. But
and the
I
the
think
Flash did his thing.
he did. I honestly I liked the Flash. Again, I thought Cyborg and Flash to me kind of, I don't want to say stole the show,
Right.
but they helped solidify the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? You pretty much knew what Superman was going to come and do. You know, they had to do the whole. I pretty much knew that's exactly how it was going to go down.
Right.
I didn't know they were going to drag Lois Lane in there.
Mm.
You know, I had thought that was just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Now, Mike, you saw Punisher, right? Because I definitely, because this was the release of Punisher, big weekend. It's interesting they chose this weekend. What's your take on the Punisher?
It's really good. It really does a great job of explaining Frank Castle's backstory. And you see a lot of, especially in the first 3 episodes, you see a lot of him in the army and the events that lead up to his family being killed, as well as the events after the season 2 of Daredevil. They talk about that. They bring characters from that into the show. It really ties in everything together. And there's this great female lead that is part of a government agency trying to uncover more details about Frank Castle during his time in the military. and her role, she plays her role really well. So it's really cool having them bring in these new characters that are not from the other Marvel shows on Netflix, and bring them into the series and have them be their own. And it's really well done so far. I've been watching the first few episodes, and it's really great so far.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm up to
I'm sorry,
episode 4 on that, and because of last weekend was Veterans Day, it was such an interesting. What was the best word to say it? It was so interesting just to see the stress and the emotion from ex-military. And you don't really see that in film, especially something in a superhero. There's a really dark social impact side of this show that I think people really need to see. Besides the fact that, there's a guy from a comic book, if that makes sense.
Well, that's actually strong. I think a lot of people, because I have family that's in the military, still in the military, well, just up to recently, everything that went down with, the Iraq and things like that, the stress that they have to endure after coming out of the military. People think like once you're done, you're done. No, that stuff sticks with you for the rest of your life, man. And I don't think people understand the psychological stress that's on your shoulders every day, dealing with, those events that had happened. So yeah, this is definitely something people need to watch, man. Definitely. Frank Castle is, I always say the Punisher was to me like an underrated character. And I kind of put Punisher and Batman together because they don't have any superpowers. You know what I mean? But they come in and they just tear stuff up, man. And I think that's what I love about Batman and Frank Castle. And the cool thing about the Punisher is with this whole Civil War coming up, in Marvel, Frank Castle played a huge part. Now, I don't know if they have the rights to bring Frank Castle in. I don't know, because everything is all divided up amongst the different studios. But he effed up a lot of stuff, a lot of people in Civil War, man. So that'd be kind of nice to see what they do with Frank Castle in a movie. But I'm definitely looking forward to marathon watching The Punisher. Yeah, man. So I can't wait for that.
Cool. And we'll go through more detail about The Punisher. Again, this is just the introduction. Looks really good. It's gritty. It does move. The action is action, but it does move a little slower because it's really about the dialogue. It's really about the story and people kind of the banter going back and forth, which it's interesting because all the Marvel shows, the Netflix Marvel shows, they all have a different pacing that's supposed to fit with the characters. So,
can I ask you a question, both you guys?
Yep, and it will. Let's do it really quick. We'll end and we'll go overtime.
Okay.
So we're gonna go overtime because we're live. So just for everyone watching this on cable, we're gonna sign off real quick. So I'm Seven. We've got Michael. We've also got Sensei Vegan. You're watching Eclectica. Stay tuned. We're gonna run the credits, the music, and we'll be back in a second. SEVnetwork.com